Hi there. I think this is going to be a fast painting because my battery is kind of halfway, but let's see. I have been picking up on a lot of different energies that are a bit all over the place, so if you are here, I trust that you are here for a reason. I trust that you trust yourself, that you can know. I trust that you trust yourself and that you can use your discernment in deciding what actually resonates with you and what doesn't. So if something finds you in the right place at the right time and helps you connect the dots, then that's great. And if it doesn't, then it might be for or from somebody else. I'm going to be painting energies here, and I'm going to tell you what I see and how I see it, and you decide what to do with it. At the end of the video, I'm going to take a picture of the painting so that you can also see it for yourself. I have already been here before I started recording, and it hasn't been easy because I was picking up on some quite difficult energy, and I started doodling because I thought I might make it easier for myself if I just start doodling, and I painted exactly the energy that I see. It's like a red spikes that kind of looks like shark teeth, but then on top of that are also blue spikes, or like a blue teeth, and one goes against one, and they go kind of against one another, and they could be a crown, but they're not a crown. I feel like there's a lot of like spiky energy kind of trying to coexist with one another and trying to find resonance. And red part is having some sort of symbols that are being smudged, and the blue part has a straight and then another straight arrow. Kind of like two different energies trying to coexist together, and they do look like they could coexist together, but they're also kind of not. While I was sitting outside and meditating for this painting, I was getting this energy of, I guess, difference between realignment and rejection, and I was seeing two different visions and how they kind of coexist in the field. So you might be finding yourself in one or the other field. So I'm going to explain both of them. On one side I was seeing kind of like a house or a living space, whatever it is, full with furniture, and that furniture is being rearranged. And it comes with the message that nothing needs to be thrown away. You don't need to kick any furniture out. You just need to put things in different place. And as you do that, you will find what fits better elsewhere. So what feels better, what looks better, what serves better purpose, what is more functioning in some other position than somewhere else. I always wanted to have like garden statues in my apartment. And I would love to have a garden statue in the middle of the apartment, but at some point I can see how I would need to move that garden statue somewhere in the corner so it doesn't take so much space. So that's what I mean. And this energy and this vision comes with strict permission through me. It comes with the permission, because usually this energy shows itself in the world with the message of, if something doesn't fit, if something doesn't align anymore, let it go, cut it out, put a boundary, put a stop to it, put an end to it. But to me it showed up with permission. It can stay. But it has to be put in another position. So if there is like an object or an energy or a person or whatever you're dealing with that kind of you don't fully vibe with it anymore, but at the same time you're not fully ready to let it go either. It's kind of like a part of you still clings to it for whatever reason, while another part of you is kind of like, yeah, I don't want to use it anymore, I don't want to see it anymore, I don't want to be in this energy anymore. Maybe you've outgrown it, maybe you found something else, maybe it's just, life happens. You don't have to fully throw it away, you can just reposition it. make it easy for yourself, because sometimes you break your own heart if you just like put an end to absolutely everything that isn't 100% aligned. So that was on one side of the vision, and on the other side of the vision, there was again house or like a living space full of furniture, but some things needed to go out. And in this other living space, there was like a completely different energy in the living space. It's as if like perhaps you, I think I talked about it in some previous painting, I don't know which one, but in one video I did touch upon that. It's like when you raise your energy, raise your frequency, let's say for example you get a completely new interest and suddenly you feel very much alive, and then you come into your living space and your living space doesn't reflect that version of you, so you kind of have to reorganize everything. You might want to change color of your walls, or you might want to change furniture and do a bit more of a drastic realignment. That now I'm speaking metaphorically when I'm speaking about the living space, but I'm actually speaking also about like what happens in life when you're changing your frequency. Let's say you might, you might, for example, purify your signal in one way. You might be showcasing your work in a way that you've never done before, or you might be changing some preferences in how you look or how you socialize with people, where you socialize with people, or you might be moving yourself in some sort of like a different standard of living, and there might be some consequences that present themselves as rejections, which means that, I don't know, people might unfollow you, or you might suddenly not hear from people that were previously part of your life, and you might experience that as a rejection. You might experience them communicating that to you very openly with some harsh words on their end, and you might experience emotional pain as a result of that. What I'm saying is that on like a human earthly level, this is, I don't like to flatten it down into like that's an ego level of reality, but behind it all, I'm seeing like a very neutral realignment of things, and I see that as blocks, like blocks being stacked on top of and next to in combination with one another, like kind of like Tetris. And sometimes a block just simply doesn't fit into that space and it has to be moved somewhere else. And when you move it somewhere else, that block has better function somewhere else, it fits better somewhere else, so it has a higher energy somewhere else, and the space where it's removed from has space for adopting new blocks that are more fitting into that space. And it's very neutral. The only assigned meanings and pain and words and consequences are those that we humans assign from our own point of view, which I'm not saying that it's wrong. It is part of the experience, but I think that's what it is. It's a part of the experience. And if you approach it from the space of knowing that it's part of the realignment, and that pain that you might be experiencing, or disappointment that you might be experiencing, is part of the realignment. It's kind of like when you go to the doctor and you have to give blood, you know that you have to do it. You just gotta do it for whatever reason, and it's uncomfortable. Maybe you're afraid of the needle, maybe you don't like to look at it, and that moment when it stings through your skin, like, it hurts. It's uncomfortable, or you know what I mean? And it's just part of it, and it goes away. And when it goes away, it kind of makes space for new, more aligned energies, more aligned blocks to take space in that newly, freshly open space. So that's what I was seeing while I was sitting outside. I was also picking up on, I gotta say it just for the record, I was also like, when I just sat down in the meditation and I opened myself to the field of this energy painting, I've been picking up on very gray energy. That it presented itself so very clear and clean. Oh yeah, I have to say something before I get into this. Speaking of realignment, in this space, like if you're watching this shortly after I posted, or if you're watching this in some time space reality in the future, in the past, when things magically realign itself in exactly the same position, so that when I'm saying this to you, that it actually makes total sense. When you're in this energy field of realignment versus rejection, realignment in this time, in this space, in this field, is something that you just can't be blind to anymore. If you had any kind of tendencies to give the benefit of the doubt to anything and everything and energies around you, and you were kind of bypassing some sort of like warnings or red flags or something, or some sort of like misalignment of whatever way, shape or form, however it shows itself, in this field, that's just kind of, it just doesn't work anymore. So honor that. Kind of like you're having like an invitation to be fully, truly honest with yourself and with people around you, without a fear that you might hurt yourself or anybody else, because the more honest you are, the more like you're just kind of making space for better things, to experience better things, for better things to take place. And now I'm going back into this gray energy. So that gray energy felt like, I'm gonna actually make it. It felt like emotional numbness, oversaturation of information, overstimulation, kind of like, I've seen it all, I can't be surprised anymore. Very, maybe I should spend some time with my paint before I actually start painting in the future. Very kind of like emotionally tired, a bit disconnected energy. That, okay. Sounded like, yeah, I've seen it all, I can't be surprised. Give me something more challenging, something more, not challenging. It didn't come as a need for challenge. It came as, I need something more surprising, more shocking, something more disturbing, something that I can feel more, because there was no feeling in that energy. Kind of like hit me harder, because I don't feel anything. That's kind of how it felt and how it presented itself. And it was very gray, kind of like a gray clouds. Very, I hate to say this, but I gotta say it, very Berlin-like. And I recognize that energy as something that is so pervasive, so very, very fashionable, something very, very available on the planet through social media. Very, yeah, very available, it's very out there. But I was thinking, I have never picked up that energy whenever I've been tuning into the energy field of this channel. So I was like, that energy is like one of the one of the most basic energies of the planet right now, but I never picked it up so far. And then it occurred to me. I started sharing this project, this YouTube channel, and this energy paintings on Instagram this week. And that's totally the energy of the Instagram that I've been picking up on. And ever since I started this YouTube channel, I've been protecting it from that energy. I've been protecting it from Instagram and from that need to appeal to that energy through optimization or following some sort of like guidelines that I didn't feel like would be authentic to follow. But times have changed. Times have changed, and that actually leads me into the next energy that I've been picking up on, and that is, it just feels so beautiful how it's just kind of aligned together. That is the energy of completely switching into something exactly the opposite. I think that's kind of the energy that I'm getting from full moon, like this last, not full moon, the new moon in Aries from a couple of days ago. And the similar energy I've been picking up in one of the recent paintings, but this one is kind of a version of it, but not necessarily the same energy. It's just kind of like a variation of it. The energy that I'm talking about is forget everything you learned about this life, because today is the first day of the rest of your life, and now you live from a completely new slate. No rules, you write rules as you go. So open yourself up to experiencing kind of a thing. I'm gonna link that video over there. But this energy that I'm picking up on today is a little bit different. It comes kind of like one life chapter or one version of you has lived for long enough to be organically, genuinely retired, and it switches into exactly the opposite. Just to upgrade the quantity of experiences in life that you can have. Just to give you a completely different point of view. And it reminds me of the quote from Yves Klein, who said, "To be universal is to be able to contradict oneself, just like fire in nature. It can be gentle and cruel at the same time." And that can manifest itself in like literally any area of your life. But some of the examples that I was getting were, if you've never really been like openly outspoken for yourself, if you never really vocally expressed yourself in public, and if you've always been on this kind of shy and reserved and rather do something else side of the life, it feels like now finally you come to the point of realizing that you've had enough of that. You lived this shy energy to the point of its completion, and you honor it, you recognize it, you don't resist that change that needs to happen through you, and you allow yourself to experience exactly the opposite, and that is to perhaps put yourself in places where you do share your voice and your opinion. Or I was also getting that example of recognizing how there were some certain maybe generational beliefs about how you need to protect yourself and your energy that were playing out through you for an extended period of time, perhaps even so long that it shaped you, like your identity, your personality, the way that you organize yourself and introduce yourself to the world. Like you took those beliefs as part of yourself, and then you realize that perhaps they don't serve you anymore. because there are other new energies available to you on the planet. For example, you might have been in celibacy for ages, protecting your energy and avoiding physical contact with humans, only to realize at some point that physical touch is something that you need or that you want. And then allowing yourself to experience that and to open yourself up to meeting more people. And vice versa, if you've been somebody who was very open energetically and physically to other people, now you might have landed into the space where you start practicing your discernment a little bit more and take it a little bit more seriously. And see how it is to protect yourself, and how is it to keep your energy for yourself, and how is it to consciously work with it within yourself, not through other people. So it might be something that you are experimenting with. I have to find another paint. Maybe this one. Yeah. Okay. Another energy that I was picking up very strongly before coming here was that of distorting the truth. It's kind of clumsy how I just presented it. Sorry about that, but I will make a little bit more sense now of it. I was seeing interaction of two energies. One energy is very clear, very clean, very truth-oriented, very honest, very calibrated to love, very high vibrational, so to say. And another energy doesn't really hold those values within themselves. I wouldn't even call it values, but they're not really fully calibrated to that level of love. So when one energy expresses itself and says, for example, an honest opinion, or shares a little bit of joy and gratitude or appreciation for something that they perceive as pure light, this other energy is not going to be able to receive that fully, but it will rather reframe it or revise it or translate it into something a little bit diluted, a little bit distorted. For example, you might be finding yourself in both sides of the energies, so see how that fits for you. You might be saying on one side, if you're on the side that is more calibrated to love, you may say something like, oh, I really like how this person developed themselves over the time. It was really nice to see what they went through in their journey, and it's really nice to see how far they've come. And this other, less calibrated to love energy might see that, yeah, but they probably lied and cheated, and they probably manipulated their way into where they are. You just don't see it. This kind of an energy. I've been seeing this playing out quite a lot. And it was shown to me how wherever you find yourself, because we all find ourselves on both sides of the energies, if you're finding yourself on this like lighter side of the energy, I was shown that it is not your responsibility to try to convince this other person that the way you're seeing is more correct, because it's more pure, because it's more honest, because it's more true, because it's more loving. It is not your job to change their opinion or the way they're seeing the world. What is a call for you in this moment, in this position, is to use your observational skills and just observe and see for yourself if that is something that happens occasionally, because it happens to all of us. It's very human. Or is it something that is a pattern? Like, can you spend some time with that person and see if that's on repeat, if that's something that they operate from as their default state of being? And take that as a sign, take that as an information. Another thing that you can do is to mirror this back to them. So if you don't need their validation or their acceptance of whatever it is that you bring to the table, because you already source that within yourself, then you also have an ability to notice when they don't really match you in the same frequency, and just show it to them in a very polite and clear and neutral way. Interesting that you see it that way. Have you noticed that you have that particular way of seeing about these things? Just put it back onto them, and then you will see how do they actually hold that. So I'm going to repeat it. It's not your job to change somebody else's opinions and their way of operating. It's just for you. It kind of gives you an opportunity to practice your observational skills if you don't have them in place already. And on the other side, if you find yourself in this energy of needing to dilute other people's higher vibrational energy, it showed me how everything that you say, every opinion that you share, everything that you share, kind of just reveals about you. Where is it that you come from energetically? From which place do you come from? So any kind of limitations that you project through your words, they speak first and foremost about you. And that's very obvious and that's very evident. That's something that you can't hide. Nobody can hide. None of us. We're all super transparent energetically. We can lie because we're people and we can do that, but energy doesn't lie. And it comes as just like for the clear energy, it comes as an opportunity to practice observational skills and neutrality. In this other position, it comes with an invitation to observe yourself and to notice when do you hold, where do you hold certain limitations about yourself, about the world, and how do you use your power of free will to project that onto the other people? And just to become aware of it. I feel like I'm gonna end this painting here, and as I said, I'm gonna take a picture of it and I'm gonna put it at the end of the video so you can look at it for yourself. Please feel free to leave in the comments what is it that you see, how is it that you relate to those energies, and yeah, let me know how this finds you. No, actually I feel the need to do something more. It's really interesting to see how acrylic behaves with crayons on this paper. I absolutely love this transparent paper because on a cement wall, when you put that on a cement wall or any kind of like pattern wall, it looks really, really interesting. But this, like I'm not putting, okay. Now putting white over the crayons, and that comes with the energy of, yeah. Did I just, okay now. It comes with the energy of new that comes after the current realignment that is in process. And it carries a little bit of noise of this very numb energy. But it remains predominantly white. It's not the prettiest painting that I've created on this channel, but still, I'm gonna leave the picture of it at the very end so that you can read energies for yourself, by yourself at the end of the video. Other than that, it is my absolutely favorite thing to do, to make personal paintings. And if that is something that you would like to experience, if that is something that you would like to co-create with me, link for that is in the description down there. Other than that, thank you for being here.